This man deployed technology to connect all the 38 tax stations in Lagos State, ensuring that the revenues of Lagos were being monitored as they happened. He blocked all the leakages. He streamlined the procurement process, ensuring that the resources of Lagos were utilized. It was when he was Commissioner for Finance that the funds of Lagos State were seized by the then federal government. It was through his ingenuity that Lagos survived that onslaught and he remained afloat among the Committee of State. If you are looking for the man that managed Lagos State economy and it became the 5th largest economy in Africa and certainly the biggest in Nigeria, this is a man with an uncommon combination of public service finance, public service experience. He worked in that you should take about, but for 2 reasons, we will ask him questions. It will be a disservice for a man of his experience and expertise, a man that will require the support of the Senate now and then to come here and not build the confidence in you, because the reforms of this administration, particularly in the economic space, will require the support of the Senate, and the Senate must have the confidence that the man they're entrusting that responsibility to is capable of doing so. Therefore, he is from Ogun State. When you have a good product, you are not afraid of that product being subjected to interrogation. So we will ask him questions. The second reason we will ask him question is this. This man is most likely, there's no price for guessing, is most likely going to be in charge of our finance and economy. Just yesterday, the president himself addressed the nation. This man that's going to be the anchor man will also have this platform to address the nation. So, Mr. Wale Edun, I'm proud of you from Ogun Central, from Ogun State. You have a pedigree that we are proud of, both your family and you as a person. What my colleagues would like to know, in summary, how would the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President translate to prosperity for our country and enhancement of welfare, well-being, and wellness of the ordinary citizen? Not just in terms of the growth in the GDP or some statistics of reduction in inflationary rate or reduction in MPC rate. You have done it before. In few words, just get that assurance, build that confidence. You are capable of doing it. Distinguished colleagues, after he has answered this question, I plead with you. Give him the honor, give him the privilege, treat him decently, and let him take a bow. Thank you.
SARS, don't take over the work of the presiding officer. So let me call on dismissed Senator Neda.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My colleagues, my name is Senator Neda Imasue, Edo South Senatorial District. Mr. Wale Edun, welcome, and your CV speaks for itself, and for what you said so far, many of us are convinced. But I'm so concerned with 2 questions, one of which must have been asked differently by our colleagues here. You spoke so eloquently about how you helped as one of the teams that took Lagos State from where it was to a great height. That time is upon us now as a nation. And so we ask you, what are you going to do differently? What will you do now, given our economic depression today, to help Mr. President to revive our economy again, given the fall free of our naira, given the fact that the ordinary Nigerians can't even afford 3 square meals? 2, corruption is so endemic in our society. And one of the bastions, one of the agencies that fights corruption, that ought to fight corruption, is the Office of the Auditor General for the Federation. As you may know, the audit bill has not been signed. Be that as it may, you're also aware maybe that there's this tussle between that office and the Office of the Accountant General, and indeed the Office of the Minister of Finance. I believe, that that office needs independence for it to work properly. And so I ask, will you be in the forefront to fight to make sure that that office of the Auditor General will have the independence that it deserves so that it can ably fight corruption and reduce corruption in our country? Thank you.
Please, let's try and ask just questions so that we can stop. Distinguished Senator Abiru.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, sitting as the chair, and my colleagues. In fact, I'm highly elated for this opportunity because I must confess, the nominee before us is somebody that I know very well. So it would be very, very unfair if I don't make my own remarks here. And at the same time, I probably will also be sharing, I'll be asking him to share some thought with us. Number one, let me acknowledge that, number one, it was my senior in banking. So people like us grew up in banking to know him. And from his CV, you can attest that he's an accomplished banker. Equally, he was my predecessor as the former Commissioner of Finance in Lagos. As you are all aware, I was also a Commissioner of Finance, but years after he had passed through that particular corridor. And part of the major legacies that he left behind is part of what we rode on and continue to improve the lot of Lagos, and which is still continuing till today. So in Mr. Edu, I see a well-accomplished professional, but there is a part that people, my colleagues, so I join and I support everything my colleagues have said as well. But there's a part that I think has been conspicuously missing, which is the fact that he's equally a grassroots politician. I can attest to that. And I also must also attest to the fact that even in this current dispensation, this current administration, I've worked closely with him. So I support his nomination, just like everybody had done, but I also would like to ask him a question, or not necessarily a question, but I would like him to share some of the reforms that this current administration has embarked upon, because I happen to know that he's also a part and parcel of all the reforms that we are beginning to see. And specifically, I would like him to speak to the issues around the macroeconomic distortions that this current administration is trying to confront and improve upon. So, Mr. President, distinguished ladies, my distinguished colleagues, I support Mr. Edu's nomination, and I plead that we all support his nomination. Thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleague.
Just take a minute, since we are sitting together. You must have conferred on what we are going to ask. If he had missed something, I'll just add it so that I can come to the leadership.
Thank you, Mr. President, sitting as chair, my respectful, distinguished colleagues, and the nominee. I join all the colleagues to congratulate you for the nomination, and we believe that is one of the best